In 10.3, we're going to find special products of polynomials. We're still going to multiply these the same way we did in 10.2, but this just means you're going to get some different answers. So the first type of special problem we're going to talk about is difference of two squares. And that just means what your answer is going to look like. So first, I'm still going to multiply using FOIL. So 5x times 5x is 25x squared. 5 times negative 8 is negative 40x. 8 times 5 is positive 40x. And 8 times negative 8 is negative 64. So what makes this special is that you'll see when you combine like terms, the two middle terms will always drop out. Okay, so you wind up getting 25x squared minus 64. And this is a difference, because you're subtracting, of two squares. 1, 2. And you'll notice that both of these are perfect square numbers. This only happens because we started with the exact same thing in both parentheses, but one had a positive sign and one had a negative sign. If your signs are not opposite, this won't work. Okay, you'll still get 3 terms as your answer. So we're going to talk about difference of two squares when we get into factoring later in this chapter, but just notice that in this type of a problem, your middle terms will always drop out. So don't be alarmed when that happens. Okay, so now we're going to go into squaring binomials. Now this is a really big thing that people tend to do and mess up on, and we get very mad when you mess up on this. So, this is a super important thing for you to remember. Do not distribute the exponent because you have the subtraction sign inside the parentheses. So what remember what squared means, if I were to say 5 squared, that would tell me to do 5 times 5. I write it twice. That's the same thing we're going to do here. We're going to take our parentheses and write it twice. Then you're going to FOIL. 3x times 3x is 9x squared. 3x times negative 2 is negative 6x. Negative 2 times 3 is negative 6x. Negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. Now, I'm going to combine like terms, but notice that my middle terms do not drop out because they were both negative signs. In order for it to work like it did before, one would have to be positive, one would have to be negative. So these don't drop out, they actually combined to make negative 12x, and then bring everything else down. Okay, so that's squaring binomials. Do not distribute the exponent. Get really mad at you, because you can see that if you tried to do that, you would get the 9x squared, and you'd get the 4, but you're missing this middle term. You're missing the 12x. Okay, so it does not work. You don't get the same answer. So now here's 3 examples for us to try and see how we do. So if you want to pause and try these before I fill them in, go ahead and do that. So for the first one, I'm going to go ahead and FOIL. 36a squared, 30a, negative 30a, minus 25. Because these are the same but have opposite signs, I know those are going to cancel, and I get 36a squared minus 25. Again, power of 2 means write it twice, and then FOIL. Don't let the fractions scare you. Half times half is a fourth. Half of negative 10 is negative 5. Half of negative 10 is also negative 5. And that makes positive 100. Combine like terms, put your answer in order, and that's what you get. It's okay to get fractions. And the last one, 3p2n, 3p2n, one's a plus, one's a minus. I'm just going to shortcut this. I know this is going to be 9p squared minus 4n squared. I'm not going to bother foiling that because they had opposite signs, so I know the middle stuff's going to cancel out anyway. But if you FOIL it out, you get the same thing. And that's it. There's 10.3.